Before he became a fashion icon, before the Gucci campaigns, before meeting Rihanna and being with Rihanna, and all the celebrity stuff, A$AP Rocky was just a dude from Harlem who dropped a mixtape that completely changed the New York rap scene. So today, guys, we're going to be discussing Live Laugh A$AP. This is one of my personal favorite, not just Rocky mixtapes albums. It's one of my favorites, period. And I feel that it just felt like talking about it, so that's what we're going to be doing today in this video. So yeah, let's get into it. So Rocky made this album in 2011, and I was 7 years old at the time, so obviously I wasn't listening to it. But I went back and did a bit of research, did a bit of reading, just to get a scope of the scene of what rap was like in New York at the time. And at the time, it felt like a lot of artists were still holding on to the New York identity, the boom bap, hustler talk, luxury bars, the whole, basically kind of following the whole Jay-Z blueprint kind of thing. And obviously amazing music came out of that era, obviously, but in 2011 a lot of artists felt like they were doing it because that's what New York rap was supposed to sound like. At least that was that was the sound they were trying to chase, that could guarantee them the record selling. But Rocky shows up with this mixtape and it goes completely left field, completely different direction from everything else. You can hear 3 6 Mafia, Houston Screw, Dungeon Family, and even traces of grime and like darker electronic music, way more than you can hear the traditional New York rap. Everything seems a lot more slower, hazier, and definitely more atmospheric. And at the time that shocked a lot of people, because it just feels like he's floating in the mixtape. He's not really urgent about what he's doing. And that sound would later be called cloud rap. And whether you like that label or not, this tape definitely is one of the projects that helped define that sound. So now the production on this album, this mixtape, is just ridiculous. If you don't know who Clams Casino, you should probably start there. He had already been experimenting with like this washed out, emotional, almost ghostly sound on Lil B and Mac Miller records. But Live Laugh A$AP is where I think he fully realizes that idea. Palace is honestly one of my favorite rap beats ever. It barely feels like a rap beat. It feels like ambient music with drums underneath it. Then you've got Leaf. It's probably the most emotional and like the emotional center of the tape for me. It's slow, it's dreamy, and somehow still works as a rap song. And then obviously Peso opens the tape with this heavy, confident energy. The best way I can describe it is that it sounds like expensive but dangerous. And then what people I think miss is that these beats are not just backgrounds for Rocky to rap over. It's like an atmosphere to like. It feels like Rocky's voice is mixed in almost as like another instrument, and he's moving through the production rather than standing on top of it. And once I started to hear it that way, and the whole tape makes a lot more sense to me, and obviously encouraged me to revisit it a lot more and helps me look at it at a different light. So now Rocky as a rapper, I feel that this is where my critique and my review becomes a bit more balanced. His delivery and cadence are excellent in my opinion. He sounds very relaxed, confident, and completely in control. Nothing feels forced on the record. But lyrically, he's not doing anything revolutionary here. It's a lot of fashion, women, money, Harlem, swagger. If you read the bars on paper, there isn't a huge amount to unpack in my opinion. The reason why it still works though is because of the production. On this tape, Rocky is less of a storyteller and more of a presence. His voice becomes a part of the mood, and for 40 something minutes, in my opinion, that's more than enough. What really carries though the project is the confidence that he portrays. He sounds like somebody who already believes as a star, even though the world may not fully agree with him, or even before the world fully agrees with them, shall I say. Long Live A$AP is the best example of that. it's this huge cinematic energy, and somehow he sells it through conviction alone, and that's really impressive for me. So the influence of this tape is massive in my opinion, not just for Rocky himself as an artist, as this continued a trilogy of albums, but also other artists as well. I think you look down later on from 2011, you get artists like Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi Vert. I think those two are like the prime examples that you could argue were kind of like took inspiration from the, you know, Love Live ASAP, you know. Even you could argue the SoundCloud era, and a lot of these artists inherit that from this project, you could argue. And it's not necessarily ASAP Rocky's bars or cadence. I think it's more so the idea that a vibe, an aesthetic, and an atmosphere can matter as much as technical lyricism on a record. And you can debate whether that shift was good or bad for rap, you know, especially in the SoundCloud era with mumble rap. But I think the influence is hard to deny, and it goes beyond rap. I think that if you look at Clams Casino, the sound bleeds into R&B, alternative music, and even parts of the UK underground scene. So yeah, you can hear traces of it in, I think, some of Frank Ocean's music, especially early Brockhampton music, I think, and a lot of artists who probably aren't directly copying this tape, but definitely like drinking from the same source. Yeah, what's also interesting is that this mixtape, I think, has a lot of like really subcultural feel to it. I think it's also because of the darker production, you know, the fashion awareness of it. But yeah, I think this is like a mixtape that, if you look online, kind of like has its own subculture kind of to it, you know. For me, Live Life ASAP is a strong 8 out of 10. The production is flawless, Rocky is magnetic even when the bars aren't carrying all the weight. And the more I dug into it, you know, also did a bit of research, like I said in the beginning of the video, the more I realized how this tape kind of predicted where part of rap was heading, and kind of created its own subgenre. And yeah, the flaws are real. I can't deny that. There is limited lyrical range, a bit of filler, and obviously in the natural looseness of the mixtape format. But for me, this is a project that kind of knew exactly what it wanted to be, and it was executed with that vision in mind very clearly, and ended up influencing, you know, a huge amount of music that came after it. And for me, that's a really huge deal, hence the 8 out of 10 score. I'm not really one for ratings when I do album reviews, but I decided to do one for this because I feel that it's near perfect a mixtape can be. So if you haven't listened to Live Life ASAP in a while, if you haven't listened to it at all, I would say go back to it. I genuinely think, I feel like it holds up, and it's one of, again for me, the best mixtapes I've ever had. So you guys, let me know where you rate this tape. If you think my score is fair, or if I'm being too generous or too harsh, comment below. And yeah, if you've reached this far, thank you very much. Subscribe if you're into this kind of conversation, album breakdown, review, revisits kind of thing, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.